Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News. Today, 4th May 2026, equivalent Islamic calendar, 17th Zulqa'dah 1447 after the Hijrah of the Noble Prophet. In the headlines, Independent Broadcasting Association advocates media independence for Nigeria to flourish. Former Kano State Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, Peter Obi decamped to Nigeria Democratic Congress. Northwest governors rule out negotiation with bandits amid persistent attacks. And on the international scene, Iran warns of Mid-East ceasefire violation as US plans to escort Hormuz ships. And on sport update, Manchester United beat Liverpool 3-2 to secure Champions League qualification. Details of these and more will be coming to you in the news bulletin. I am Sumayya Mustafa. Stand by. The Independent Broadcasting Association of Nigeria, IBAN, says Nigeria's democratic future depends largely on the protection of a free, independent and responsible press. IBAN Chairman Ahmed Tijani Romalan made the assertion in a statement marking the 2026 World Press Freedom Day, while describing independent media as a cornerstone of democracy and a critical instrument for ensuring accountability, building public trust and promoting national unity. The day is commemorated annually on May 3rd. He also reiterated the association's commitment to defending press freedom and supporting pluralistic, high-quality journalism amid growing challenges confronting media organizations and practitioners across the country. The IBAN chairman therefore stressed that both the Nigerian Constitution and international human rights frameworks guarantee the protection of journalists, urging authorities to ensure media professionalism, operate without fear of intimidation, harassment, arbitrary detention, or censorship. Romalan also highlighted the vital role of journalists working in conflict-prone areas, noting that their work is exposing realities such as banditry, terrorism, militancy, and piracy remains essential to public safety and national awareness. Moving on, the federal government and state governors have been urged to protect journalists and address insecurity and impunity across the country. The Nigerian Guild of Editors, NGE, and Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SIRAP, made the call in a joint statement issued in Lagos to mark World Press Freedom Day. The statement also urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to urgently ensure press freedom and bring an end to the escalating insecurity and widespread human rights violations across several parts of northern Nigeria. The statement followed a conference and interactive session in the role of the media in promoting people's rights, accountability, and access to justice in the context of growing insecurity in Nigeria, held in Lagos. SIRAP and the editors noted that protecting journalists and safeguarding information integrity are central drivers of peace, security, and democratic stability. The National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, has canvassed for zero tolerance against all forms of violations targeted at journalists and media houses in Nigeria, emphasizing that a free press is the lifeblood of any thriving democracy. Executive Secretary of the Commission, NHRC, Tony Ojukwu San, made this call in a statement as Nigeria joined the global community to commemorate World Press Freedom Day, which comes up annually on the 3rd of May. He also reiterated that a free, independent, and pluralistic media is indispensable not only to the protection of human rights, but also to the survival and deepening of democracy. The Chief Human Rights Officer of Nigeria emphasized that there is a direct and undeniable correlation between press freedom and democratic governance, noting that where the media thrives freely, accountability, transparency, and citizen participation are strengthened. He lamented over the persistent reports of intimidation, arbitrary arrests, physical assault, and online harassment of journalists across the country. The Reporters Without Borders (RSF) has ranked Nigeria 112th out of 180 countries in the 2026 World Press Freedom Index. The ranking marks a 10-place improvement from 2025, when Nigeria placed 122nd with a score of 48.11 out of 100. The country has returned to its 2024 position after last year's decline. The RSF uses 5 indicators which determine the economic, legal, security, political and social environments for journalism to assess press freedom worldwide. Nigeria recorded improvements in 4 of the 5 indicators, seeing a decline of 0.99% in the social indicator. Electoral periods continue to bring significant violence against media professionalism. In August 2024, around 30 journalists were assaulted, arrested and targeted with tear gas or gunfire while covering the social protests shaking the country. RSF noted that post-Assad Syria recorded the biggest improvement in the 2026 index, rising 36 places. Former Kano State counterparts Rabiu Kwankwaso and Peter Obi have decamped to the Nigeria Democratic Congress (NDC) and were seen receiving membership cards in a video circulating online. This was disclosed in the footage from the event showing the registration process as Kwankwaso was first presented with his membership card before former Anambra State Governor received his, indicating their formal entry into the party. The move is coming amid ongoing political realignment among opposition figures ahead of the 2027 general elections. It was gathered that they both held a closed-door meeting with leaders of the NDC at the Abuja residence of the party's national leader and former Bayelsa State Governor Seria K. Dixon, which is believed to be part of efforts to consolidate opposition forces and build a viable coalition ahead of the polls. Obi and Kwankwaso drawing a crowd of supporters under the Obi-Kwankwaso movement, who chanted "OK is OK" as the two leaders were ushered into the premises. Still in the news, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has raised an alarm that the current contradiction of declining reserves amid rising oil earnings exposes a dangerous pattern of economic mismanagement. Atiku's senior special assistant on public communication, Frank Shoaibu, in a statement said the persistent drawdown in reserves signals that the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) is aggressively injecting liquidity to artificially defend the naira. The former vice president also stressed that this is not stability, but a fragile illusion sustained by burning through national savings, adding that a nation cannot consume its buffers to max policy failures while ignoring the structural weaknesses undermining its currency. The chieftain of the opposition African Democratic Congress (ADC) stated that defending the naira without fixing productivity, exports, and investor confidence is akin to pouring water into a basket. Atiku therefore issued 2 strategic warnings by stressing that the windfall must not be squandered on recurrent expenditure or political patronage. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television Global News. Still to come in the news. Northwest governors rule out negotiation with bandits amid persistent attacks. And on the international scene, Iran warns of Mid-East ceasefire violation as US plans to escort Hormuz ships. And on sport updates, Manchester United beat Liverpool 3-2 to secure Champions League qualification. Details of these and more will be coming to you after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. Northwest governors have ruled out negotiating with bandits, insisting that only unconditional surrender would be accepted from criminal groups operating in the region. Governor Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto State made this known in a statement in Katsina during the commissioning of the 12.6 billion naira, 8.1 kilometer Endeki to Shinkafi and Kofar Sauri road constructed by Governor Diko Umaru Ratla. He stressed that governors in the region were united in their resolve to end insecurity, adding that significant resources were being committed by state governments to combat banditry and related crimes. Aliyu therefore assured residents that state governments were working closely with security agencies to strengthen strategies aimed at restoring peace across the region, while calling on citizens to support the anti-banditry campaign by exposing informants within their communities. Some security experts have expressed worries over Nigeria's worsening insecurity as the country approaches the 2027 general elections, warning of a complex and expanding threat landscape. A state commander of the Nigeria Forest Guard, Larry Igwe, called Nigeria's security challenge networked, with criminal elements moving across regions, contributing to the spread from the northeast into the middle belt and southeast. He, however, attributed the crisis to poverty, unemployment, governance gaps, and weak logistics. While chairman of the Nigeria Legion in Ebonyi State, Okechukwu Ejiagu, described 2026 as witnessing an alarming surge in violence, noting that insurgency, once largely associated with the Northeast, has expanded geographically. Meanwhile, both stakeholders diverge on the scale of killings, Igwe noting variations and slight improvement in some regions, while Ijegu claimed violence has risen sharply, citing widespread attacks in states like Benue, Zamfara, Katsina, and Ebonyi. They, however, agreed that insecurity is spreading beyond traditional hotspots, with criminal networks moving across regions and insurgency expanding from the northeast into the Middle Belt and southeast regions. Still in the news, troops of Sector 2 Operation Fansanyama have foiled a terrorist attack in Zamfara State and Katsina State, killing 9 militants, including 2 suspected kingpins. The Acting Deputy Director, Army Public Relations, 8th Division, Lieutenant Colonel Olani Osoba, who disclosed this in a statement, said the operations targeted armed groups operating in the northwest. He added that the operations also led to the recovery of arms, motorcycles, mobile phones, ammunition, and cash. Osoba stated that troops on patrol from Fording Operating Base, Fudma, engaged suspected terrorists along the Turare to Entomaki Road in Duzuma local government area of Katsina State, where 4 militants were killed. The spokesperson also added that in a separate operation in Anka local government area of Zamfara State, troops from Fording Operating Base, Bagega, killed 5 other militants, including 2 identified as notorious kingpins. He identified the suspects as Anarua and Gomina, noting that Anarua was a younger brother to a known bandit leader in the area. And on the international scene, Iranian authorities has warned that it would consider any U.S. attempts to interfere in the Strait of Hormuz, a breach of the Mideast ceasefire, as President Donald Trump said the United States would begin escorting ships through the blocked waterway. It will be recalled that talks between the two countries have been deadlocked since the ceasefire came into effect on April 8, and Iran's stranglehold on the strategic strait following U.S. to Israeli attacks on Tehran has been a main point of contention. Meanwhile, President Trump on Sunday said the new maritime operation, which he dubbed Project Freedom, was a humanitarian gesture for crews aboard the many ships swept up in the blockade and which may be running low on food and other crucial supplies. In response, the head of the Iranian Parliament's National Security Commission threatened that any American interference in the new maritime regime of the Strait of Hormuz will be considered a violation of the ceasefire. The United Nations (UN) has decried that 85% of crimes committed against journalists go uninvestigated and unpunished, describing the situation as an unacceptable level of impunity. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres stated this in his message to mark World Press Freedom Day, observed annually on May 3 to highlight the importance of press freedom and the safety of journalists globally. He stressed that press freedom remained a key pillar of democracy, noting that the media served as a public watchdog in society. The UN chief also recalled that the 1991 Windhoek Declaration strongly emphasized media freedom, which led the United Nations to dedicate the day to defending and strengthening press freedom worldwide. Guterres warned that economic pressures, emerging technologies, and deliberate information manipulation were placing press freedom under unprecedented strain, and also called for stronger protection of journalists and efforts to ensure a world where truth and those who reported it were safe. And lastly, on sport updates, Manchester United Football Club has secured Champions League football next season as Kobe Mayano's strike earned a 3-2 victory over Liverpool. Michael Carrick's side was 2-0 up inside through Matthias Cunha and Benjamin Sesko, but failed after the break to allow Arne Slot's men to level with goals from Dominic Szoboszlai and Cody Gakpo before Mayano secured the win. A return to Europe's elite competition after a 2-year absence and another big game win furthers Michael Carrick's case to continue as United boss next season. Mayano has embodied the upturn in United's fortunes since Carrick took charge in January. United open up a 6-point lead over Liverpool and are guaranteed to finish in the top 5, despite the 11th league defeat of the season. Liverpool needs only 3 points from their 3 remaining games to also secure a place in the Champions League. Carrick has also beaten Arsenal, Manchester City, and Chelsea. Finally on the news, here's a recap of the top stories again. Independent Broadcasting Association advocates media independence for Nigeria to flourish. Former Kano State Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, Peter Obi, decamped to Nigeria Democratic Congress. Northwest governors rule out negotiation with bandits amid persistent attacks. And on the international scene, Iran warns of Mid-East ceasefire violation as U.S. plans to escort Hormuz ships. And on sport update, Manchester United beats Liverpool 3-2 to secure Champions League qualification. And that's the size of the global news on Standard Voice Television. On behalf of the news editor, Ilya Demo Auta, and the production crew, I am Sumaya Mustafa, thanking you and bye for now.